Hey, Misfits. I'm your host, Melinda. Thank you for joining Mystery Loves Company. Now hold on to your butts as we go on another mysterious adventure. Let's see what today has in store for us. Today, let's talk about the woods. I love the woods, and that's not a secret. Everybody knows that camping and being outdoors in the woods is my favorite thing to do. I love to hike. I love camping and running off on my four wheeler, checking out the mountains around me. My husband and we will take off for hours just discovering parts of the woods that we haven't played in yet. A lot of times my kids will come either hiking or riding with us to check out the new areas. Now, I can tell you that if my husband and I stumbled on a shit show like the one I'm about to tell you about, I'm not sure how we would handle this. I would think that if my kids were with us, we would immediately turn around and leave. But if it were just him and we would both be completely intrigued. Now, my husband, he would want to get the hell out of there just because of his innate instinct to protect me. But I would go running toward it to gather all the information that I could. Then he would run faster than me so he could be in front because, well, he's a boy and he's got to be in front. So now I'm going to tell you about what this hiker finds while he is out in the woods. On October 3rd, 2016, in Suffolk County, New York, a man named James Rankin is out hiking in the woods in Berkeley-Jackson County Park. James is an avid hiker and outdoorsman. He loves discovering new places on his hikes. Now, this area that he is hiking in is a pretty thick wooded area. I actually looked it up on Google Earth, and it's so thick that it just looks like a bunch of broccoli everywhere. Like, just imagine that. Lots, just broccoli patches all stuck together. You can't even see through those damn trees. He has been in this area many times, but off in different directions. So as he's out hiking, he comes to a campsite where people are sitting around the campfire. He stops and visits with them for a while, then he continues on his hike. As he hiked back further and further, he could start to hear cars and see what looked like a residence off in the distance, but still far enough away that it was most definitely still the woods. He had been out hiking for a couple of hours when his hike abruptly came to a screeching halt. What he finds is extremely unsettling. He actually starts videotaping just in case he goes missing or is hurt or worse. He stated in his video that he was doing this to send out a distress call so people would know where he was. He did not bring a gun with him. He actually only had a knife with him. And he finds himself in this area where he is basically in some sort of valley, like surrounded by hills. And so he feels like he's really at a disadvantage in this moment, and he's pretty creeped out. So he sees what seems to be a camp, and as he approaches, he's super cautious because he sees a ton of white papers on the surrounding trees. And he's thinking that these papers are like no trespassing signs or wildlife signs, so he continues towards the camp. What he finds shakes him to the core. All of these white papers are actually missing person posters. They're laminated and taped to the trees. There are at least 25 posters on the surrounding trees. And these are real life missing people that span across the entire U.S. Some are from California, and it goes all the way to South Carolina. Some of these names we all know well. He didn't zoom in on all of the posters as he was just trying to figure out what kind of fuckery he had just walked into. The names that I was able to see were as follows, and there's 16 listed here. So we've got Jennifer Kesey, Orlando, Florida, age 24, missing since January 24th, 2006. We have Brenda Heist from Linnitz, Pennsylvania, age 42, missing since February 8th, 2002. We have Susan Powell, West Valley City, Utah, age 28, missing since December 7th, 2009. Tara Grinstead, Osceola, Georgia, age 31, missing since October 22nd, 2005. Brandy Renee Hanna, Charleston, South Carolina, age 32, missing since May 20th, 2005. Derek Seehausen, Los Angeles, California, age 25, missing since August 5th, 2014. Christopher Marcus Lampkin, West Salem, Oregon, age 23, missing since April 10th, 2006. Cole Rupert, Noblesville, Indiana, age 28, missing since November 20th, 2012. Roger Dan Shekels Jr., Burbank, California, age 65, missing since sometime early 2009. Like, there wasn't an exact date on him. Tim Bosma, Ontario, Canada, age 32, missing since May 6, 2013. Lauren Spurrier, Bloomington, Indiana, age 20, missing since June 3rd, 2011. Laura Marie Nimbach, North St. Petersburg, Florida, age 22, missing since February 17th, 2009. Jonathan Brackett, Carolina Beach, North Carolina, age 18, missing since August 1st, 2009. Brian Schaefer, Columbus, Ohio, age 27, missing since April 1st, 2006. Landon Orcutt, Santa Ana, California, age 21, missing since July 2nd, 2006. And Stacy Peterson, Bolingbrook, Illinois, age 23, missing since October 8th, 2007. Okay, so these missing persons posters were taped to the trees surrounding a clearing for camping. These posters were laminated and taped to the trees with that wide, clear tape, and it's wrapped around it like numerous times. And you can tell by looking at the posters that they had been on the trees for quite a long time. Some were discoloring and some were molding. And so was the tape. The tape was actually getting kind of like peely and easy to tear. Like, normally you couldn't just like peel the tape, like pull it off. You would have to really work at it, but it just pulls right off. It was pretty old tape. And in the clearing, there was a fire pit, and quite a nice one. Like, someone put a lot of work into it. So you've got the actual fire pit, which looks pretty nice. And then there are these large, smoothly cut logs for seating. There's some sort of tent in this clearing and some gross old bedding on the ground and a shovel. And then there's a handmade wooden stick cage. Let me try to explain this to you. So there were large sticks that were all tied together at right angles and kind of webbed together. It looked like some sort of cage or trap that had collapsed. But in the middle of this wooden cage trap thing is a hole. That's right. A hole was dug right in the middle of it and then covered. While James is videoing and trying to document as much as possible, he starts to hear people talking, and then he runs like hell. Once he was safe and out of the mountains, he called the police. He tells the police, look, there's something wrong. I have documentation, I have video of all of this. These are real missing persons, and there's definitely something wrong. Please go check it out. So the police go out there. And they find this little creep station in the woods. they decide to go speak to the people who live in the nearby residence. The people tell the police that it was them. They're like, "Yep, it was me. Everything's fine. We were just decorating for a Halloween party since it's only a month away." The police believe them and drop the case. So James goes back out there on October 30th to check it out. And oh man, this is so weird. All the missing persons posters have been removed. But that's not the weird part. Now instead of the missing persons posters, there's no trespassing signs put up. And fine, whatever, no trespassing. We all know what a no trespassing sign looks like. But these are cut pieces of paper that just say no trespassing. And they are taped to the trees with masking tape. And so I grew up around painters. Like, I have a family of painters. They paint houses. I know what masking tape is, and I can promise you masking tape is not going to stick to a tree for very long. But that's what they put it up there with, was masking tape. And like these signs, they're it's like they took a piece of computer paper and cut them into quarters and then printed on them, no trespassing. But that isn't even the weird part. Let's put all of that shit aside, and can we please focus on the fact that these signs were taped to each tree that a missing person poster was on? Like, how freaking strange is that? They just replaced each poster with a sign. Like, I have so many different thoughts when it comes to this. And so I looked into each one of these missing persons posters. I looked into each one of these missing people, the ones that I was able to see, because obviously not all of them were caught on camera. And so before I looked up these missing persons, I was totally thinking that these missing person posters and then the no trespassing signs were grave markers. But then I read up on the missing persons, and that simply couldn't be the case. So the people that I was able to find, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what I found on them, and then you will understand why these can't be grave markers. So let's start with Jennifer Kesey, Orlando, Florida, age 24, missing since January 24th, 2006. Shortly after she vanished, Kesey's car was discovered parked around a mile from her home. Security footage recorded a person parking Kesey's car and walking away. The person could not be identified due to poor camera quality and the absence of any visible distinguishing physical features. The case received local and national press attention. As of 2023, no arrests have been made and Kesey's whereabouts remain unknown. Brenda Heist, Linnitz, Pennsylvania, age 42, missing since February 8th, 2002. She left behind a husband and 2 children when she disappeared from her home outside Linnitz, Pennsylvania. In February 22, while going through an amicable divorce, she went missing in 2002 while she was going through an amicable divorce. In 2010, Heist was declared legally dead. Then, in April of 2013, she turned herself in to the deputies in Monroe County, Florida, and revealed that she was a missing person. Susan Powell, West Valley City, Utah, age 28, missing since December 7th, 2009. The disappearance and presumed murder, as well as the subsequent investigation and events, gathered national media attention. Susan's husband, Joshua, was named a person of interest in the investigation into her disappearance, but was never charged. On February 5th, 2012, Joshua killed himself and their 2 young sons, Charles Joshua Powell and Braden Timothy Powell, in a murder-suicide after custody of the boys had been awarded to Susan's parents, Judy and Charles Cox. On May 21st, 2013, West Valley City Police closed their active investigation into Susan's disappearance, stating that they believed Joshua murdered her and that his brother Michael, who also committed suicide in February 2013 after suspicion grew around him, had assisted him in concealing her body. Since then, there have been repeated attempts to have Susan legally declared dead. Tara Grinstead, Osceola, Georgia, age 31, missing since October 22, 2005. On October 22, 2005, the night before her disappearance, Grinstead visited a beauty pageant for which she was a coach to young contestants. And she attended a barbecue. On October 24th, a Monday morning, she did not show up for work. Coworkers called police, who went to her home where she lives alone. They found Grinstead's cell phone inside the house and her car outside. Her purse and keys were gone. On February 23, 2017, the GBI announced they had received a tip that led to the arrest of Ryan Alexander Duke for Grinstead's murder. About 3 years before Grinstead's disappearance, Duke had attended Irwin County High School, where Grinstead was an employee as a teacher. According to warrants read in court, Duke burglarized Grinstead's home, and when she caught him in the act, he strangled her and removed her body from the house. Another arrest on March 3, 2017, was made public in connection with Grinstead's disappearance. Bo Dukes, a former classmate of Duke with no familial relationship, was charged with attempting to conceal a death, hindering apprehension, and tampering with evidence. Grinstead's sister, Anita Gaddis, said that she has known Bo Duke's family for years, but never connected him with any part of her sister's disappearance. Brandy Renee Hanna, Charleston, South Carolina, age 32, missing since May 20th, 2005. On the morning of May 20th, 2005, Hannah headed off to work. Her shift at Alex's restaurant was from 7 a.m. to around 2:30 p.m., and she got off work shortly before 3 o'clock p.m. Hannah spoke to her mother on the phone around 5:50 p.m. She later texted her boyfriend, She later texted her friend, Amy, around 8 o'clock p.m., talking about her plans to go shopping for a bathing suit for their weekend trip to the beach. Around 10:19 p.m., phone records show that Hannah's last text message was to her ex-boyfriend, Garland Lankford. Shortly after 10:30 p.m., Hannah's friend Amy showed up at her apartment, but was surprised when she didn't answer the door. The lights inside the house were turned off, but she could hear sounds coming from the TV. She called Hannah's phone and heard it ringing. She heard the ringing coming from inside the apartment. Assuming Hannah was most likely asleep, Amy eventually left. On May 23, 2005, her mother grew concerned after receiving a call from Hannah's workplace saying she was absent that day. She called the police, but the police were hesitant to investigate a missing adult, no evidence of foul play was brought up. Derek Seehausen, Los Angeles, California, age 25, missing since August 5th, 2014. Derek had spent the early part of the evening out with friends, but he left the group about 9 o'clock p.m. because he had to get up early the next morning to go to work. Nothing had appeared to be wrong with him at the time. He had been in a good mood and acting like his normal self. He told his friends he would see them later in the week when their classes started, and they assumed he headed back to his apartment in the Echo Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. When Derek failed to attend any of his classes, his friends began to worry that something was wrong. He had never been the type to skip class, and it was unusual for him to be out of contact with his friends. One of his friends decided to call his parents at their home in Pennsylvania, and they were startled to learn that Derek appeared to be missing. After several unsuccessful attempts at reaching him, his parents finally called the police. Christopher Marcus Lampkin, West Salem, Oregon, age 23, missing since April 10th, 2006. The details of this grisly 2006 murder sound like a plot straight from a fiction. In April 2006, Christopher Lampkin was visiting someone at the Cedar Crest Apartments in Salem. During the visit, the 23-year-old got in an altercation that quickly turned deadly with other residents of the apartment. Leonardo Garcia Gonzalez, Victor Hernandez, and others told Mr. Lampkin to get on his knees and say his prayers. Lampkin's mother, Denise Mullins, claimed in 2008 complaint Mr. Lampkin was then shot execution style in the head and taken to the bathtub, where Leonardo and Victor Hernandez began to cut off his head and the limbs of his body with kitchen knives. The men stuffed the remains in a duffel bag and called a friend, Joseph Norman Schmidt, whose father owned a pig farm in rural Yamhill County. Schmidt put the duffel bag into a feed barrel for the pigs, an animal that is famous for its omnivorous palate. Police recovered parts of Lampkin's remains from the feed barrel in 2007, and Schmidt cooperated with the investigation in exchange for immunity. Mullins reportedly identified her son's remains by the watch that was still strapped to the corpse's arm, and DNA tests later confirmed the identification. The Marion County Court ruled 3 men who fed a murdered man's body to pigs must pay the victim's family $1 million. $1 million. Cole Rupert, Noblesville, Indiana, age 28, missing since November 20th, 2012. According to reports, his roommate was the last person to see Rupert before he disappeared. Since then, there has been no cell phone or bank account activities. The loved ones of Cole Rupert report that Cole has been found and is safe with his family at the moment. There are no other details available at this time. Rupert vanished in late November 2012. However, apart from posters, his missing persons case was kept low profile by those searching for him at the request of law enforcement. This gives the impression that there have been mitigating factors involved with his disappearance. Roger Dan Shekels Jr., Burbank, California, age 65, missing since sometime early 2009. Oddly enough, I could not find a single thing on this man. Literally nothing. I couldn't even find his missing persons poster, on the internet. I found nothing on this man at all. So I don't have anything to report on him. I am sorry. Tim Bosma, Ontario, Canada, age 32, missing since May 6th, 2013. Tim Bosma went missing on May 6, 2013 after going on a test drive with 2 men who said they wanted to buy his truck. Bosma's remains were found in an incinerator on Millard's farm outside Waterloo, Ontario, days after Bosma went missing. Mark Smitch and Dylan Millard are now convicted of first-degree murder in Bosma's death. They were both sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Lauren Spurrier, Bloomington, Indiana, age 20, missing since June 3, 2011. In the early morning hours of June 3, 2011, Lauren Spurrier went out to celebrate the end of the semester by partying with friends. It should have been like so many weekends before, but on this morning, Laura would leave the company of her friends and walk off alone in the direction of her apartment and never be seen again. Laura Marie Nimbach, North St. Petersburg, Florida, age 22, missing since February 17, 2009. Before Laura's disappearance, she had previously been in an abusive relationship. She was staying at a battered woman's shelter in Clearwater, Florida. On February 17th, she walked away from the shelter, never to be seen again. Her abuser was to be in court the next day to be charged with domestic battery. Did something horrible happen to Laura that day? Or did she walk away and start a new life? Those are the unanswered questions that haunt her family. Jonathan Brackett, Carolina Beach, North Carolina, age 18, missing since August 1st, 2009. Brackett was last seen near a wooded area in Surf City, North Carolina on August 1st, 2009. He is from Carolina Beach, North Carolina, but was visiting relatives in Surf City on the day he disappeared. He was in the company of some people who worked for a carnival in Carolina Beach when he disappeared. When Brackett picked up his last paycheck, he told a friend he wouldn't be into work the next day because he was leaving. He has never been heard from again. A few days prior to his disappearance, Brackett told his mother he planned to join the military. She stated he was in a good mood at the time of the conversation. He was on probation at the time he went missing, and his family doesn't believe he would have left before his probation was completed. Carolina Beach police are investigating his case, which remains unsolved to this day. Brian Schaefer, Columbus, Ohio, age 27, missing since April 1st, 2006. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Schaefer went out with his friends to celebrate the beginning of spring break. Later, he was separated from them and they assumed he had gone home. However, a security camera near the entrance to the Columbus bar recorded him briefly talking to a woman just before 2 a.m., April 1st, and then apparently re-entering the bar without any evidence of leaving the area. Schaefer has not been seen or heard from since. The case has received national media attention. Landon Orcutt, Santa Ana, California, age 21, missing since July 2nd, 2006. He left behind a suicide note. In September 2007, a hiker discovered Orcutt's skeletal remains in the San Bernardino Mountains. Authorities have yet to determine the cause of death, but foul play is not suspected. Lacey Peterson, Bolingbrook, Illinois, age 23, missing since October 28, 2007. On October 28, 2007, a young Illinois mother of two named Stacy Peterson was supposed to help her sister paint her home. She never arrived. Stacy, who was just 23 years old, was never seen again, and she has been presumed dead. Her husband, a former Bolingbrook, Illinois police sergeant named Drew Peterson, was an immediate person of interest in the case, but was never charged with the death of Stacy, his fourth wife. But he was found guilty of murdering his third wife. So that gets your thinker thinking a little bit. Sorry, I just messed up my mic. Okay, so this brings me to kind of theories, per se. So I start thinking about these posters and how they're I start thinking these posters are marking something else, because otherwise, why would they mark the same trees unless they're just trying to screw with people and freak them out? Like, I can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around why the no trespassing signs are in exactly the same spots as the posters. Like, what is the significance of those specific trees? There's gotta be something there. Like, okay, so let's talk about this Halloween party. Let's talk about Halloween. Like, I am Halloween. Halloween is my ultimate favorite holiday. I love the spooks. I love the dark. I love the pop-out scares. I love scary movies. The creative costumes. And really, let's be real. The fact that you can be anything or anyone you want for a night. Like, that's pretty fantastic. And Halloween parties, they're always the funnest parties. They're my favorite parties. But, like, let's pretend for a minute that these missing persons posters really were for this Halloween party. Like, this Halloween party is even out of my league. Using real missing persons posters is gross and disrespectful. Like, I'm pretty out there, but this is simply too much. If they had used fake missing persons posters, I could kind of get behind that. Like, it would add an eerie feel to the spooky little wooded area that has wooden cages and all the creeps that it had. Like, I pretty much probably would have loved that. But using real missing persons posters, like, that's a bit distasteful. Like, that's pretty bad. But part of me still feels like it wasn't just for a Halloween party. Like, this Halloween party is a month away, and these missing person posters have been there for like a while. So I still think that there is something a little more sinister at play here. Like, I think that the police should reinvestigate, or maybe should have investigated a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just a Halloween party and these guys are freaks, like bad humans type of deal. But maybe it wasn't a Halloween party. Maybe it wasn't. Like, what do you think? And how would you react if you stumbled upon this morbid ass creep show? How would you react to that? And if the police told you, oh, that's just Halloween decorations, you're just going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to meet these guys. No, I definitely think not. But I would love to know your thoughts on this because I still have question marks. So that is it for today, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thanks for joining, Misfits. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. After all, mystery loves company.